It is a rainy day out here in South Carolina. Had to step out of the office real quick to go pick up a closing check. We actually should have had 2 closings today. However, the attorney failed to communicate that we needed 1 additional item of information. The seller in this case is a church. I've never had this happen before, but due to the fact that the property is sitting in a trust and the trustee on record is the one that signed it, he asked for a copy of the church's bylaws in order to confirm that he did in fact have permission from the board of directors, from the members, and have the ability to convey sale on the property. So delay the closing. Looks like we're gonna have to push that back to next week. But we're gonna head out, pick up our check for today, and we're gonna head out to a new property that we have under contract. Real low-end property, but hard to beat when you're buying a house for $6,000. Had to find a spot at the parking garage. Columbia is just growing so fast that downtown parking is getting ridiculous. Got both checks on deck. Now we're gonna take a stroll right down the street and check out a couple more properties we have under contract. First property we are going to check out is right in the heart of Columbia. It's within walking distance of the university and really in an up and coming area. So we secured this contract at $38K. Owner is actually a church, and we brought a buyer within 6 hours of it being on market for $56,500. So we will be paying a real estate commission with that. However, we still got a hefty little spread in the middle. So we're gonna drive by, check out this beautiful old historic house, and then we'll make our way to the low-end property. You got Benedict College to our left. University's right behind us, real close to 5 Points, which is the little congregation area where a lot of the college kids like to hang out. You can see it's an older neighborhood, but it's really starting to revitalize. So we're gonna be pulling up here on our left-hand side. You can see the church, who is the owner on record, Bishop's Memorial. And the property is actually right here. Nice, historic looking house. Needs a good bit of work, but really pretty. This whole area is starting to really brighten up. So, should be a good one once we bring it to closing. Real estate really is a long-term game, because a lot of these properties that are in older areas, Oak Street for example, not worth a ton of money. You know, fixed up it might be worth $100,000, $110,000. But with the economic growth in Columbia, you hold on to that property for say 10, 15 years, and you're sitting on some pretty heavy equity. Again, you can never read the markets, but traditionally real estate is one of the best and most stable assets to hold on to. In fact, 90% of America built their wealth in real estate. So the more properties that you can ultimately acquire, gotta purchase them at a discount and be able to weather the recessions. But the more properties you can get and hold on to those things, not only are you getting tax benefits and deductions every single year, but your property is actually increasing in value. So it's a win-win situation either way. See, there still is some really nice brick-built houses out here. But as you go down the streets a little bit further, it starts to get a little bit more run down. You're running into some more vacant properties, and there's just a lot of drug and gang activity. Ultimately, this stuff will eventually get pushed out as Columbia continues to grow, one would hope. But for now, it's not quite in the revitalization zone. right, we just pulled up to Pine Needle. It's a smaller 2-bed, 1-bath property. See some splits in the bricks. That's a sign you got some foundation issues. Now as we walk around the back, you will get a massive sign of foundation. As you can see, the back side, boom, straight down the middle. That's a pretty bad foundation. You can see here too, foundation issues. So that's the biggest deal with this property, is definitely needs that. Foundation issues are super expensive, hence the reason we got this property for $6,000. You can see these pink cabinets. Must have had some young girls that lived here at one time. It's very odd that they got the bathroom right there as you enter the house. As you can see, it needs some work. Got a couple small rooms, some hardwood floors in one of the bedrooms. Obviously, the property needs a lot of work, but where else can you find a house for $6,000? Almost unheard of. Got a bunch of Jordans. See, that's the issue. Bunch of Jordans for your kid, and you're living in the hood. That's the difference between wealthy people and people that don't have a lot of money. Wealthy people invest in assets, as to where everyone else likes to have the new shiny objects. But anyways, we are going to owner finance this property, so we'll be closing on it ourselves. Bring $6,000 in some closing costs next week, and we already have a buyer lined up who wants to drop $4K as a down payment, and we'll go ahead and owner finance a balance of about $20,000 at 8-10% interest, something like that. So over time, we'll be bringing in about $400 to $500 per month for the next 4 or 5 years, building some quick cash flow, and we don't have to deal with the headache of being a landlord, because our tenant buyer is going to be taking ownership of the property. So that's it, 262 Pine Needle. So real quick, just to think about what compound interest can do for you. Buying a house for $6,000, even if you collect $1,000 down payment, a couple thousand, right? And you put them on a note for, say they're paying $450 a month for 6 years. You're gonna make a return on your investment within the first year. In fact, you'll make that back in probably 6 to 8 months. And then it's just straight cash flow after that. You do that 5, 6, 10 times, and all of a sudden you got enough money coming in that you can cover all your living expenses, and it just compounds after that, right? It's just like letting your money sit in the stock market. It sits for long enough and it gains, small amounts of interest, but it's almost unheard of that you're gonna get 100% return on your money within the first year. That's an insane ROI. And there's no other vehicle that I have found that you can make that type of return. So our strategy has actually been acquiring these low-end assets, many of which are actually out of state. There's a lot of risk. We're buying these properties at foreclosure auctions, buying them sight unseen. So condition is, undetermined. But if you're getting a house for $5,000 to $10,000, and you can turn around, market that on Craigslist, Facebook, find a qualified buyer, someone that can verify their employment, send them an application form, the best suitable person you put in place, and you just over time make astronomical returns. So I think we currently have 7 or 8 houses. Pine Needle should be the 8th house, and that's been built up within a 12-month period. So after that, we're just going to start to dump it. Everything coming in from these properties, we'll just put it back into some more lower end properties. And as we're saving up money from our active income wholesaling properties, eventually we should be able to start buying some nicer higher end assets. So that's the strategy for now. Hope you guys got something out of that. Again, consistency is the key. That's the key to your success. It's the key to stepping into any endeavors, because as you're making that commitment to develop yourself, develop your mind, and become the best version of yourself, you have no choice but to be successful. Think of the progress of your success as a tiny seed. That tiny seed has the potential to reap a huge harvest, but before it can sprout up out of the ground, it's got to first be buried. So you think about your struggles, think about the setbacks and hardships that you have to go through. Those are all part of that process. And part of it is learning to die to self, right? You die to yourself, you learn how to press through, and it makes you stronger, it makes you way more adept to handle life when it throws these different wrenches at you. And as a result, you will start to nourish that seed along the way. You'll water it, and eventually it's going to sprout up out of that dirt, and it's going to start to grow leaves. It's going to start to produce fruit. So just think of your life as that same thing. It is truly never too late to reinvent yourself, because the best of your life is yet to come. And as long as you commit to the process of growth and you commit to self-mastery and self-development, then eventually you're going to get where you need to be. So stay consistent. No matter where you're at, there's always a second chance. Every day that you wake up is a second chance. So find your vision, stay committed, and step out and take massive action. The only thing separating you between where you are and where you truly want to be is the amount of action that you're willing to take. Get out there, guys. Crush it.